Welcome to episode 37. We're going to be talking about the misheard song lyric from Eddie Murphy's hit Party All the Time. And the misheard song lyric is, my girl wants to party all the time, party all the time, party all the time. Correct lyrics is, my girl wants to party all the time, party all the time, party all the time. This misheard lyric is perfect right now because for those of you who don't know me personally, I had just gotten a puppy. He is a little merle colored Pomeranian named Leonidas. We call him Leon for short. And my life in the last over month, maybe, is potty training. So this is perfect for what I'm going through right now. And and just to let anyone, if you care, he's doing great. He has some accidents just here and there, but primarily doing great. So keep my fingers crossed. Anyway, this song is again by Eddie Murphy, actor. He also is known for his role in Saturday Night Live. That's how I knew him. So his original, or actually his full name, is Edward Reagan Murphy. He was born on April 3rd, 1961. He is an American actor, comedian for sure, and now singer with this song. Like I said, he was a regular cast member of Saturday Night Live back on 1980 to 1984. And I remember him with his famous characters like Gumby, his version of Mr. Rogers, and Buckwheat from Our Gang. And he worked as a stand up comedian. He has some very famous VHS tapes or movies of his, stand up comedy. And he was ranked number 10 on Comedy Central's list of the 100 greatest stand ups of all time. And what he did is he collaborated with rock star as well as, songwriter Rick James of Super Freak fame. And, the funny thing about Rick James is I used to think for many years since I was a kid is he and Donna Summer were the same person because I never saw them at the same time. That was my assumption. It could be wrong, but again, you never saw them in the same room. I digress. So he and Rick James created this album together, and the lead single from Murphy's debut musical album was called "How Could It Be," and so that was also the single, the name of the album. And again, by actor comedian Eddie Murphy, and the album was released back on July 20th, 1985 by Columbia Records, and it was produced by a person by the name of Akil Fudge, and pretty much with the exception of the hit top 10 single of the Party All the Time that we're talking about today, which was produced by Rick James. So there's many collaborators on the album. I know that Eddie Murphy even wrote some songs on the album himself, but he had a lot of help from famous people, one being Rick James. And the album did pretty well. I remember when I was in junior high, it was a commercial success, making it to number 26 on the Billboard 200 and number 17 on the top R&B hip hop albums. Not bad, Mr. Eddie Murphy. And again, two singles were released, Party All the Time, which actually made it to number 2 on the 1985-86 Billboard Hot 100, and the title track, which is the How Could It Be, which became a minor R&B hit. I don't remember it, but those are the two at least successful singles from that album. Now, the big did you know is why did he do an album? He was making lots of money, from Saturday Night Live, his movies he was branching out to, stand-up comedy. Well, apparently there was a bet between him and Richard Pryor. So from Wikipedia and other sources, there's actually a link to the actual album's liner notes, and in there, Eddie Murphy writes to the following, quote unquote, to Richard Pryor, my idol with whom I have a $1 million bet. No mother effer, I didn't forget. And the bet was Richard Pryor had said he didn't think Eddie Murphy could sing. And so he said, I will pay you, $1 million if you make a record and it does well. And lo and behold, it did. So I'm assuming the late Richard Pryor made good on his bet and paid him. But the funny thing is, if you have that album in the liner notes, that's what Eddie Murphy writes in there. So that was a big aha moment for me. The single was recorded at James' home studio in Buffalo, New York. It reached, like I said, number 2 at the Billboard Hot 100 for 3 weeks behind the song Say You, Say Me by Lionel Richie. And Rick James also provided vocals for the song. So let's talk about the video. Now, if you look at the video on YouTube, amazingly, just for what I looked at recently, there is actually 40 million downloads of this Party All the Time song, or Potty All the Time. And the video pretty much is just Eddie Murphy going into, I'm assuming, to Rick James's Buffalo, New York home studio, and he meets a lot of the session singers and the musicians and sings his song Party All the Time. And then in the middle to the end, that's when Rick James jumps in the recording studio and starts singing the background vocals. So that's all it is. But you know, that's when I remember seeing it at a young age. I'm like, wow, he can actually sing. And that's why I'm not surprised that the video did well. Again, downloaded 40 million times from today. And also the song did well, being #2. And the funny thing is, you know, you've made it when your song has been made into a parody. So when I did my searching, I also found that there is a parody of this song on YouTube. So just do a search. It is called My Girl Wants to Potty All the Time, just like the misheard that I thought, others as well. So you can check that out. And, you know, it definitely has a ride if you have a parody. So I have to give street cred to Mr. Eddie Murphy. He can sing. And obviously he took that bet against Richard Pryor and he won it. And I'm surprised he hasn't done any other songs since then. But I think he just wanted to prove a point that time that, you know, I can do everything and sing. So good for you, Mr. Eddie Murphy. And I use this song, like I said, when I'm potty training my little pupster Leon as our, you know, when we walk outside to make sure he's doing his business. So hopefully you learned something new. I did, other than thinking it's a funny line. There was a lot of backstory to it, other than his friendship with Rick James and Rick James helping him write the song and get it to where it is. So please keep sending the great misheard song lyrics. I'd love to talk about it. Also, I would love to have you as a guest. You never know. So again, keep singing the songs wrong and send in your suggestions. We'd love to hear from you. Stay safe, stay great out there, and we'll see you next week. Bye.